Welcome to the Awesemo Early Bird Podcast. It's your old pal Emac coming to you with the NBA action for Tuesday, January 28th. I am joined by one Joey Corman as we record this on Monday night. The final game, the late night hammer, just tipped off. I'm sure we'll be eagerly watching the second half and seeing how the Houston Rockets are doing. Value was everywhere today, and I'm sure it will be on Tuesday as well. Joey, did you get into the NBA slate on Monday?
Oh yeah, unfortunately I did, Emac. It's not looking too pretty right now. No Jakob Poeltl in my lineup, so I went full Hardenstein. So we'll see how he didn't start, and I went little Clemens, little Austin Rivers as well. So we'll see. They started PJ Tucker against Gobert in Utah, so we'll see how that works out. Yeah.
I am looking. They've just brought in their first wave of the bench, and Hartenstein was not one of them.
He's not in the first wave. That's so.
Nope. Michael Frazier and Thabo Sefolosha came in for Austin Rivers and Ben McLemore.
Thabo Sefolosha revenge game. There you
go. Close the book on that. Who hasn't he played for these?
Who's Thabo Sefolosha not played for?
Do you know how old he is? There's a fun question.
Thabo Sefolosha's got to be what, 33 now?
35.
He's 35.
He is 35.
I remember
14. Yeah. I don't remember the first few years of his career. I know Atlanta was in there somewhere. Yeah,
it was the Bulls. He played for the Bulls.
Oh, the Bulls, and then the Thunder.
Yeah.
Yes.
Played for the Bulls, and then they shipped him off to I want to say the Thunder. They shipped him off to.
Career scoring average 5.8 points per game.
Good defensive player for a bit. There was some hype around him when the Bulls drafted him. I mean, he was part of those,
Oh, that's right, because you're up at your Chicago area.
Yeah, he was part of those, decent, those good D-Rose teams for a bit, I believe, in the when D-Rose came on and everything. And the last time the Bulls were relevant, so.
All right, so, my last. Well, then we're getting to current year. I want to see his contract. So let's see, cash earnings in his career, $46 million. So, you know what? We are not going to say anything bad about that.
That's a good career, $46 million. That's what Mozgov's getting paid this year, probably, by the Lakers.
A fair point as well. Well, let's get into the fun stuff here. First off, we're sponsored by SuperDraft. Definitely want to check them out if you have not yet. That are over at superdraft.io. And on Tuesday night, they're actually going to start their games with the 7:30 tip-off. So we get another bonus 30 minutes to go on over there, get into the contests. Our buddy Josh Engelman did a very nice behind the paywall, hour-long breakdown of how he was building out his model and what he was going to do for projections and strategy for entering the game there. You'll want to check it out. It's, again, superdraft.io. What's different about them? Well, they have multipliers. So someone tonight, like, say, I don't know, pick a good player. Rudy Gobert was 1.1 multiplier, and Eric Gordon was a 1.8 multiplier. So whatever Eric Gordon gets, you multiply it by 1.8. Scoring, it's your best parts of all the sites. You get 3 points for blocks and steals. You get a half-point bonus for three-pointers, and you do get the double-double and triple-double bonuses, -1 for turnovers. So it's and then you put the multiplier on top of that. So very unique. They have late swap, and they are optimizer friendly. But if you go to superdraft.io, use the promo code AWESEMO when you sign up and put in $100, they will match you or they'll give you $20 in SuperDraft cash. So check it out, and we will be featuring more content for them, including on Live Before Lock. All right. Oh, goodness. I guess we'll go by positions here. We got 8 games. They have postponed the Los Angeles game. That would be the Clippers and the Lakers. I suspect they will make that up probably around. I'm just guessing here. I haven't seen any news. I'm guessing they'll probably do something special around the All-Star break. Would be my guess, or at some point a little later in the season to honor the families of that unfortunate accident from Sunday. So with our 8 teams here, we're going to go by position. We'll hit on the news as we kind of get to it. Kendrick Nunn was out on Monday night. That is with an ankle issue, so we'll have to be waiting to see what is going to happen with him. We got a host of people that are questionable. We do know Alex Len's going to be out again. DeAndre Bembry's going to be out again. And this Cantor's going to be out again. Justice Winslow still out indefinitely. Jordan McRae, that's an important one there for the Wizards. He's out. Of course, Rui Hachimura's not going to be back till potentially later this week. Garrison Matthews is going to be out for another game or two. And then who do we have? Wagner. No idea when he's going to return. Paul Millsap is still going to be out for a couple more games for Denver. It sounds like Jamal Murray no longer out indefinitely, but out for at least another week. And then Jay Crowder, doubtful. He's missed a couple games with his knee injury, so he will likely be inactive again. For teams on a double. Goodness gracious. Back-to-back, we have Dallas is on the second half. We talked about this beforehand. Why am I blanking on our teams? Miami, Dallas, there was a third one.
Miami,
Cleveland.
Dallas.
It was Cleveland.
Cleveland. They won today, too, by a lot.
Oh, I didn't realize that game was over.
Yeah, they beat Detroit badly. Crushed them.
I think that was the fourth time those teams had played. I wanted
to
see.
Andre
Thompson looked solid there. 7 of 8 for 17 points, 11 rebounds. Thon McCurr, not so much. Andre Drummond, 15 and 8. That's horrible for him. He played 32 minutes.
Well, he had like 60 points against them the past like 3 games each. So yeah. I guess he's due for some regression, right? Eventually.
That would seem to be. But getting us back on track, what do you have for some top-end point guards here?
I mean, there's one name that really stands out here, and I have a feeling you might agree with me, and that's Kyle Lowry against the Hawks. Yeah, 7,300 on DraftKings. He's got a 36% 6 times value rate at 7,300. Yeah, that's some of those games have come without Fred VanVleet and Pascal Siakam, but I would expect Kyle Lowry to be a really, really popular play for Tuesday night, and it's really hard. His price has actually dropped on DraftKings by about $500, so he might be chalk, and he may be someone you're going to want to ride for the chalk because the Hawks, well, they're the Atlanta Hawks, and they let up points quickly.
Just looking to see here. So Lowry been a little disappointing with everybody coming back the last few games, but it's going to be, you're right, that price is favorable. He's playing a ton of minutes. His shot attempts have been down a little bit, as have the assists. I think that's partly a function of him saying, you know what, guys, I'm glad you're back. I'm not going to be trying quite as hard, meaning I'm not going to be expending as much energy after carrying the team for the better part of 3 weeks. Plus, it helps that Fred VanVleet's back. And then Norman Powell's actually looked taking it up to a next level for him. So interesting there for Toronto. We've got some guys in the mid-tier that look pretty good. Ja Morant, tougher matchup going against Denver there, but Denver been one of the worst defensive efficiency teams over the last month, coinciding with Paul Millsap being out. You've got Devin Booker going against Dallas, who's on the back-to-back. Kemba Walker going against Miami. Let's see, did we have any Jason Tatum news?
One guy I really like, and I don't know if you consider him a shooting guard or point guard. He's point guard on DraftKings, Dante DiVincenzo. So he's going to get plenty of minutes against Washington. And especially if this game turns into a blowout, he'll still get the blowout run you'd expect. He comes off the bench. He's been playing in the mid-20s pretty consistently, having some nice games with about 30. He's averaging about 25 points per game his last 4 games. So I think he's a really good option there against Washington. I mean, you really can't go wrong targeting Washington and Atlanta. I mean, you can't do it.
Yep, so those are definitely ones you want to go against. I did look here. It looks like Jason Tatum is listed as doubtful, still dealing with a groin injury. They expect him out till the weekend, but they have not officially ruled him out yet. I'm sure we'll have news for that. And then I think I've somehow skipped them, but Enes Kanter's out. So that means more work there for Jalen, more work for Smart, better chance there for Kemba to keep up his good stuff.
Kemba's definitely a guy to look for. I know Miami's not the best matchup, but his usage, Kemba's averaging, when Tatum's not on the floor, is averaging over 1.3 points per minute on DraftKings. So definitely got to look at. He had that 60-point game a couple games ago, and he had that game against New Orleans. He had about 49, 50 points. So Miami's a little bit tougher in matchup, but it's hard to argue against the usage stats that he's got going without Tatum in the lineup.
All right, well, let's utilize Washington here to kind of finish us up with the cheap point guards, get us on over there to shooting guard. You've got Ish Smith and Isaiah Thomas coming in relatively cheap. That's placeholder value. Better stuff will likely appear, but for the time being, neither one of them is horrible. You've got 4,500 on DK for Smith, 48 on FanDuel, 14 on Yahoo for Isaiah. You've got 4, 4, and 10. So I like his pricing a little bit better. He doesn't quite have as steady of minutes and mostly gets by on his scoring, but intriguing matchup there against Milwaukee that plays at basically the fastest pace over the last month. What do you got here? I need to double check that because that seems weird. What do you like or dislike with Bradley Beal while I pull up some pace stats?
Bradley Beal. I don't love that matchup whatsoever. I mean, there's too much blow up potential for me to be able to play Beal in that situation. I mean, in Milwaukee, where I don't know if the spread's out for that one yet, but it is a 16-point spread. So, yeah.
All right. So Milwaukee actually is playing at the fastest pace over their last 15 games, 105 possessions per 48 minutes. That kind of caught me off guard, but there it is in black and white. Not only are they playing at the fastest pace, they also have the best defensive efficiency, allowing 100.6 points per 100 possessions. That is 4 points better than the Raptors, who are next, 5 points better than Orlando, and 6 points better than the Lakers. So interesting one there. Anything popping for you at the top of the shooting guard list here since Bradley Beal has been taken off your board?
Bradley Beal's off my list. His price has gone up $800 on DraftKings, and it just isn't the right matchup for him. He's coming off that high paced. I know Bucks play a nice pace, but Washington, Atlanta, 150 to 130 game.
Yeah, 285 points in regulation.
Yeah. So your 2019-20 Washington Wizards, everyone. So Jaylen Brown stands out. I mean, it's kind of surprising that Jaylen Brown's his efficiency doesn't really increase without Tatum on the floor this season. It's mainly been targeted towards Hayward and Walker, but even at 6,400, I mean, his efficiency doesn't decrease. Going to Miami, where they're coming off a back-to-back, he's got a 6 times value rate of 44% at 6,400. I mean, that's a really, really high percentage play right there. I expect him and maybe Kemba to be popular as well without Tatum in there. Other than that, DiVincenzo I mentioned at the point guard position. I do like him a lot. I think he's shooting guard eligible on FanDuel, if I'm not mistaken, or is he small forward eligible? Not really sure. And then
he is shooting guard on FanDuel, point guard on Yahoo.
Okay. And not too much else standing out at shooting guard besides those two right now. You have to expect things will open up. I've been loving Devin Booker lately, but I don't love this matchup against Dallas. His price has really gone up on DraftKings. I mean, he's been on fire. I think he's been one of the best fantasy players overall of the past month, most likely. Rubio's still questionable. He gets a big boost without Rubio in the lineup, so it's something to keep an eye on there. But it's hard to see me playing Booker with Rubio in the lineup, as well as I don't know what Aaron Baines' status is, but Booker gets quite a boost when Aaron Baines isn't on the floor either. Aaron Baines I don't see any injury report on him. So I do see Josh Jackson active for the Grizzlies, though, former Sun.
Baines is going to be out for another 5 days.
Okay.
Estimated he'll be back on the 2nd or the 3rd.
It's still a little pricey for Booker for me. I'd be going for other shooting guard options there. I mean, Marcus Smart, I like him better when Jaylen Brown's on the lineup rather than Tatum. So I would focus on Brown and potentially DiVincenzo at the shooting guard position right now until things open up a little more.
All right, as we cruise on down the pricing list, geez, for 16 teams in action, it does not feel that great here at shooting guard, but that's okay. Of course, we will have people popping up on the list as other people are sick or injured. etc., etc. Let's see what we got at small forward. It was kind of funny on Monday. Small forward and power forward, especially on FanDuel, were rather barren. But we'll see what that brings us today as I flip on over here. Kelly Oubre at 6,900 on DK, 68 on FanDuel, 29 on Yahoo. I like him on the first two sites better there. His torrid shooting streak kind of coming to an end, but he still gets a decent number of minutes. Brandon Ingram, even with DraftKings has given him a nice little price cut to 7,600 with the Zion Williamson in the mix. It'll be interesting to see how things stabilize there because Zion has been a usage monster when on the court. Mm-hmm. Those are the two guys that have caught my eye. And then you have Ben Simmons, 98, 98, and 43. That 43 is a steal over there on Yahoo, but he will continue to go without Joel Embiid. I'll see when Embiid is going to be back. Embiid is all the way up to questionable for Tuesday.
Hard to make any determinations there until we know Embiid's status about anything on Philadelphia right now, because that will sap all the value from Simmons most likely, and Harris and Horford if he has any value left. He really burned me last time, so I'm not too happy with Horford right now.
All right, so here's the courtesy of RotoWorld. It says Embiid's been out since January 6th, so we have hit the 3-week mark. Embiid said over the weekend he's close to returning, but he's going to be listed as questionable. This does not mean he is going to play until we get closer to game time. All right.
Yeah, something I'm noticing here is a lot of low prices for the Raptors against. They're playing Atlanta. You got a Nobi down there at $4,000 on DraftKings. You had Lowry down there at 7,300. Nobi's price for the last 5 games, I know that everyone's come back, has dropped 1,200, but he had a really nice game. He's been inconsistent all season with everyone available, but definitely a guy to take a look at against Atlanta. I mean, if anyone is going to get about 25 minutes against Atlanta is worth a look.
I gotta call him up. Have you looked at recent game logs for him? Now he's 4,000 even. And
I've looked at him. He went about 4 games doing nothing, and then he popped up for about 25 last game. He only had 10 points against Atlanta last game. So
yeah, and this is the dichotomy of what you get with him. So he has started let's call it 12 games straight. His last game, he dropped 26 fantasy points in 23 minutes. The one before that against New York, 13 in 26 minutes, 9 against Philly in 22 minutes, 10 against Atlanta in 20 minutes, 5 against Minnesota in 24 minutes. And then, he was playing the Wizards. So in 25 minutes, he gets 35 fantasy points. And then they had that massive game and some people were out against OKC, but he had 41 fantasy points. So he's literally all over the place. His boost tends to come from blocks and steals.
Yeah, they do. He actually has at least 1 block and 1 steal in 3 straight games. I just think, if he's going to he's been pretty consistently getting around 25 minutes, and I'll take my chances of someone getting 25 minutes at $4,000 against the Hawks.
I think that's completely somebody that should be on our short list until the music stops and
until the injuries pop up. They always do. Yeah, I always have the perfect lineup before I because I always tell you in the podcast, someone says, you remember I said I hyped up that guy, and then I'll say, I obviously swapped him out because a million injuries happened between then, but I said it, so there it is.
Let's see, what do we got here at power forward? Moving along. Oh, you know what we do have? We do have a promo code that is only going to be good through Sunday. That is in honor of the Super Bowl. Promo code LIV. That stands for 54 in Roman numerals. That's also what it costs you for 1 full month of full access Awesemo premium content. 30 days for $54. If you missed out on the 20 for 20 deal, this is the next best thing. This one will be ending after the Super Bowl, but check that out. It's a good way to jump on in. If you don't want to make a full month commitment, you can always get half off any 1 week package with the promo code EARLYBIRD, all one word. All right, back over here to power forward. Well, let's talk for a moment here about Giannis Antetokounmpo. 12,100 on DK, 11,800 on FanDuel, 55 on Yahoo. That's about where he's normally priced. He's very, very deserving on this. Baseline projections, if you run him out there for about 30 minutes, have him not quite reaching that value mark. But we've seen if he gets, because the problem is that's a baseline. If he gets 32, he drops some amazing numbers. If he gets 28 or less, well, it's not as amazing. It's amazing what he puts up, 45, 50 fantasy points in that time, but you don't get the 60 point performances. But here, just for perspective here, 32 minutes, 60, 31 minutes, 65, 25 minutes, 50, 35 minutes, 67, 21 minutes against New York, 57 fantasy points, 28 in Portland, 63 fantasy points. Those are some gaudy numbers. If the Wizards have any fight in them at all, they're down. There's, you know what? Did you say the over under for this one?
With the over under, I haven't looked at it yet. I'm gonna guess the over under for this is 243.5.
It's 240 with Milwaukee favored by, do you want to guess?
16. I already looked at the 16.
Okay, I thought you had mentioned that one. Yeah. It just clicked with me when I saw 1-6. Oh my god, that might be the biggest?
That's a big line. I mean, the Warriors used to put up some lines
the
like
Warriors
that.
had one that was when they were all hurt.
There were games against the Knicks at home where they were even like 19-20, something like that. I mean,
I meant that the biggest one we've seen this season, but I think you're right. The Warriors have been on the bad end of a few earlier in the year.
They've been on the bad end of a few. Is that the biggest? It's up there with the biggest ones we've seen this season for sure. I mean, Washington is. Milwaukee's laid some big lines. I know they had a big one against the Knicks, so it's approaching 16. I don't love Giannis in this spot. He only has a 5 times value rate at this price of 39% on DraftKings. So I think he's getting a lot of his price hike because of the matchup. But I mean, if you're not getting a full complement I think there's too much of a risk of not getting a full complement of minutes. And I think just with that risk alone is kind of having me veer away from him in this slate, especially with so many decently priced guys who could really pop off, especially on Toronto, especially. So,
all right. So in their last 27 games, 17 have been blowouts. 2 of them were blowout losses. They lost in San Antonio by 22, and they lost in Philly by 11. So blowouts anything more than 10 on the side I'm looking at. But the other 15, they have won by at least 10. And I'm looking at some of these that weren't listed as blowouts, and by this site's definition, they should have been. So, yeah. Wow.
Yeah. It's I don't know. It's just hard to see. I mean, even if he's going to get 25, I think there's probably a better chance he gets in the upper 20s in minutes than he does in the lower 30s. So I don't want any part of. I mean, I'll take the 60, but it's good for cash game. But I won't. It's not gonna make you any noise in a GPP if he's only putting up 60 points at 12,300.
The Bucks are 40-6. That's an 87% win rate. They're 21-2 at home, 19-4 on the road. Mm-hmm. They have a net differential of 12.6 points per game, and they're on an 8-game winning streak.
They're really good. I mean, they got to be the front. I mean, the LA team's got to be the front runners for the finals. I haven't looked at the odds recently, but picking against the Bucks, Clippers, Lakers finals is looking pretty dicey right now. But don't count on Philly. Philly's got a good team when Embiid's back.
Thanks. All right, back to our fun task at hand. The New York guys are going to pop a little bit here. It's because the defensive efficiency for Charlotte is so bad. They still play at a slower pace, but as you like to point out, Bigs have had a better chance against them. They're one of the weaker rebounding teams in the league. So we've got the problem is what do we do with Julius Randle, because he does better in pace up games, but God, I can just see him getting, a 20 and 10 in this.
Yeah, I was looking at him too, Emac, and he actually has a big usage hike without RJ Barrett on the court. I think his usage, or his, I don't know if his usage or his points per minute go up by about 10 points. So it goes from like 1.13 to 1.23 without Barrett on the court. I'm going to confirm that right now. For this season, it goes from 1.14 to 1.22 without Barrett on the floor. So, yeah, I mean, Randall's a guy I think where you're looking at and you're like, yeah, he's too pricey, especially on DraftKings. He's not great value there, but that could make his ownership much, much lower in a spot where he could easily drop 50 to 55.
Yeah, because Charlotte is like the exact opposite in many ways of Milwaukee. They are the slowest team in the league, where Milwaukee was the fastest. Well, pardon me, over the last 15 games. But where Milwaukee was the fastest and had the best defensive rating, Charlotte is the slowest with the third worst defensive rating. They are allowing 115 points per 100 possessions. They're just having 94 possessions per game.
It's not a good formula for winning.
No,
I don't think so. So if you want the official, I know the DVP stats could be skewed a little bit, but for this season, Charlotte against power forwards are allowing the most points on DraftKings, 47.9 points per game to power forwards, and the most points to centers per game, 55.8. So big men versus Charlotte.
Yeah, so Mitchell Robinson, Randall, those guys are going to be in some good spots.
Except 8 power forwards, so who knows?
So how are you feeling about Zion Williamson? So is this game 3 or game 4?
This is going to be game 4.
Okay, so he is 72 on DK, 6,300 on FanDuel, 27 on Yahoo, and he has a 2 multiplier over there on SuperDraft. So Eddie and I talked about him on Sunday, and we weren't like excited about him across the board. We'd said, I really think you got to play him on SuperDraft with that 2 multiplier. Eddie liked him on FanDuel. We didn't like him on DraftKings for where he was. He needed essentially to have the perfect game, and then he was very neutral for Yahoo there. But I liked that he got a few more minutes. So that I'm calling up his game logs. I think he had 27. Yeah, he had 27 minutes. So he's gone from 18 to 21 to 27. In this 27 minutes he had, this was against Boston, of course, without Jason Tatum. He had 21 points, 11 boards. So he did get the double-double bonus in there. He has not made a three-pointer since that first game when he dropped 4 of them. God, he dropped like 4 of them like right in a row, it felt like. But it's been nice to see him scoring around the basket, and he's actually had 8 free throws in his last game because people were doing a little grabby on him.
He hasn't made his free throws yet, so
yeah. So he hasn't been making free throws, and he hasn't. Last time he had a little bit of foul trouble, or he had 4 fouls against Boston, but he's averaging a 35% usage rate when he's on the court. That's a big number.
It's a big number. He's going to be a good basketball player. He already is a good basketball player. He's going to be fun to watch. Him and Morant, I tell you, rarely do you get two guys who I think drafted 1, 2 who really end up being the real deal. And I think both these guys have a really good shot to be, top 5 players in the league.
So on DK, what would it take for you to want to roster him? How many DK points at 70? What did I say? 73.
He's at 7,600 on DK. I'd want.
He's 72. He's 72.
7,200. I'd want 41, 42 points from him.
So he hasn't gotten that yet. The last game was the closest with 39. So that's where we're saying, we're not saying he's a bad player. We're not saying he's horrible, but he's going to need to tick that up because he had what I would call almost a perfect game, 21 and 11, 2 assists and a steal. He shot 56% from the field. He took 16 field goal attempts. That's career high, but he had 9 and 11 in the others. So that feels about like that would be like a perfect game in my opinion. So let's hope he would to get 10% more than that and still make his shots, etc. That only puts him at 44 points.
Yeah.
That's not going to make or break anybody. So that's where we want to talk about is where is the upside. And for him, it's kind of capped. And I'm only hammering this in. For him to get 50 fantasy points, he's probably going to have to go, I don't know, something ungodly like 14 for 17 from the field and get 11 rebounds. Or whatever the rebounds, 14 rebounds. That's a huge ask for someone.
Yeah, it's not a lot of room for error. So I mean, you can't question his ceiling. I mean, if he's only going to be playing in the upper 20s of minutes, he's averaging 1.48 fantasy points per minute. I don't have the math there, but that would be, in the upper 30s. I mean, if his ceiling is going to be 44, like you said, 43, 44, 45, like I want a guy at 7,200 who's going to be able to go for 50. Because that's what's going to, if you're in a cash game, different story. But I want a guy who can go for 50 because those are the guys who are going to win you, are going to help you place in GPPs, right?
Yeah. So I think the comp, and this is not a playing comp, this is how they get their points from a fantasy perspective comp. Would you play Marvin Bagley for 7,200?
Marvin Bagley for 7,200?
Yeah.
I mean,
that's where you're like, no, I don't want to. So then you have to look at it and say, well, are you playing Zion for the name if you're going to play him?
If I had to play Bagley or Zion, I don't trust Bagley to get enough minutes.
Right. Yeah, assuming he was healthy. Just using that as a comparison.
You're saying all things equal?
He just doesn't have the sexy name.
He doesn't have the sexy name. I would still take Zion because Bagley has yet to show he showed some upside in his rookie year. But this year has been a disaster for Bagley. I mean, it's just been a disaster for the Kings in general, but especially Bagley just can't quite shake the injury bug there. So, I mean, if you're giving me 33 minutes of Bagley and 27 minutes of Zion, is that the better question there?
Yeah,
I think I would take Zion.
Okay,
honestly.
Yeah, and that's where I'm just trying to help people think outside the box here. Is all I'm doing. Just saying, okay, I'd be like, I don't really want to play Bagley.
I won't play either.
But I want to play Zion. But we're giving you a scenario where Bagley's likely to score more, and you don't want to play Bagley. Are you sure you really want to play Zion? Now,
your premonition is that Zion's ownership may be inflated because of the name.
Well, here's the other fun part in favor of this. They play Tuesday. We know that. They play again on Friday. So they're going to have 72 hours, and then they play again on Super Bowl Sunday on ABC against the Rockets in Houston. So just saying, he's got 3 days off after this game, so we could see him get 20, 27, 28 again. Maybe he doesn't do quite as much on Friday, but then Super Bowl Sunday. Hey, there you go. All right, that was a lot of time for a little value, but what the heck? It's the Early Bird Podcast, plus whatever we come up with is going to be turned on its ear throughout the day as things come along. But this is just a chance to give you guys some ideas on how to look at things, how to analyze things outside the box, just with our particular parameters right now, which they're going to change. We don't know what they're going to change to. That doesn't mean that the analysis or listening to how we logic our way through stuff is not worthwhile. This is to help give you the tools so you can do that when you come into similar scenarios and incidences, especially on late slates, mid slates, where there's not a lot of specific content for them. You learn how to do a quick assessment of what's going on and what's going to be good or bad. So let's finish this off here with centers. Nikola Jokic back into the 5-figure club, 10-1 on both the big sites, 44 on Yahoo. That's a fantastic price for him on Yahoo. He's going against Memphis. We know Memphis does like to play fast. They have Jonas Valanciunas, but I don't think that's going to be a problem for Jokic. What do you like or dislike about Jokic?
I like back-to-back 60-point games. I like that a lot. I don't love the 5-figure price tag, but it's hard to argue with his production when they don't have any other bigs. I mean, Millsap's out, Plumlee's out. Their other bigs, what? You got Porter and you got Juancho Hernan-Gomez, and I think that's about it. So Jokic is getting all the run he's been able to handle. His production without Millsap and Plumlee on the floor has been pretty extraordinary. It's been about 1.45 per minute. So if you're expecting Jokic to get in the 33 to 34 minute range, which I think is a reasonable expectation at this point. It's actually 1.48 fantasy points per minute. Then, he's gotten 38, 35, 34, 34. If you're expecting that again, it's hard not to say he's the top play at center on either FanDuel or DraftKings.
So here's his. He has 2 games against Joval this season.
Mm-hmm.
The most recent one was December 28th. 33 minutes. He had 31 points, 10 boards, 10 assists, 65 DK points. The one November 17th, they only needed him for 26 minutes because it must have been a blowout. He had 9 points plus 22 differential, but he had 5 assists or 8 assists, 5 rebounds. So that was a crappy one. 27 fantasy points, but he only played 26 minutes. Game before that, this is Denver versus Toronto. He played 36 minutes, put up 67 DK points. Game before that, 40 minutes. All right, that's a lot of minutes, but he put up 68 fantasy points. And then the first time they met back in November of 2017. So now we're looking, 2 years ago, 31 minutes, 50 fantasy points. So Joval is not going to slow down Jokic.
It doesn't appear so. No. He looks like he likes playing against Jonas Valanciunas.
Indeed. I want to see if there's any fun.
That's some good in-depth research right there.
Yeah. Well, we can't always look at game logs and stuff like that, but you can kind of see it a little bit for centers and people who think, oh, it's Valanciunas, he's going to match up well with Jokic. No, actually, he's not. Coming back the other way, Joval scored 32, 29, 22, 31, and 14 in those same games, DK points. So.
His minutes are a little inconsistent too. So
what's the foul? It's the foul trouble.
That's when it was at Toronto. He had him playing like 20 minutes sometimes, and then they bring in like Ibaka and Siakam to play that 5 sometimes. So.
How would you feel about DeAndre Ayton going against Willie Cauley-Stein, who was supposed to but did not make an appearance for Dallas on Monday night?
He has not played yet for Dallas?
No, which is interesting. Neither has Boban Marjanovic.
They're just going small, I guess. They're going with Kleber, Maxi Kleber. He sounds like a bad guy in like a Die Hard movie. Maxi Kleber. I don't know. DeAndre Ayton, you asked me about, right?
Yeah, Ayton versus Dallas. We don't know who their big is going to be. Ayton had a nice night the other night. He's 8,200 on DK, 77 on FanDuel, and 36 on Yahoo. But he's kind of a good guy to wrap this up with.
Yeah, Ayton, I mean, he's not going to be someone that's going to be jumping off the page to me. I don't love that matchup with Dallas. I mean, Dallas has been pretty sound defensively all season, especially against bigs. I don't love that matchup. If Porzingis is playing the 5, I don't love that matchup either. So Ayton's not going to be. I mean, if you can only play one center on FanDuel, I couldn't see myself playing Ayton over someone like Jokic. I'm looking at other guys. I mean, you got Adebayo's also 8,300. I would rather pay Randall at 8,500 on DraftKings than Ayton. And I'd rather play potentially. They're not there. I like Ibaka. I like Siakam. I mean, Atlanta. I'll take all these Toronto guys against Atlanta. Siakam's a guy. He had a really poor game against Atlanta last time too. I think somebody's going to give there. So I'd play Siakam at 8,100 over Ayton at 8,300 on DraftKings for sure.
All right. Well, gamers, with that, we are going to wrap things up. Again, shout out there to SuperDraft. And definitely check out the Live Before Lock. We've been doing some more content there with SuperDraft, and we'll continue to do so. I believe they are running one of their larger contests for NBA on... see if they've got it posted yet on Tuesday. It's 22,500, so it's $12 to get in, 4,500 to first. All you got to do is beat 2,175 people. They do have their NFL contests up for the Super Bowl. They have the $25,000 big game Hail Mary. That is $10 to get in, 5,000 to first, and they do have late swap as well. So a couple things to highlight there. You come in, make your first deposit. If it's $100 and you're using the promo code Osmo, you're going to get $20 immediately in SuperDraft cash. You do that same thing and you do not use the promo code Osmo, you get $10 in SuperDraft cash. Use the promo code Osmo. With that, gamers, good luck.